Hello, everybody. Let me pop Ryan in here. How's y'all doing? There's three of us, I guess.
Hey, hi, and
Hello.
hello.
Hello, Andrew, Val, Latra, Roger. How you guys doing?
Morning, morning.
Folks.
It's early, but I'm good. How are you guys?
I hope everybody's well. We're going to talk about Lizard Man today, I guess.
Yup. We talk about the Lizard Man.
And then next week we'll talk about Frog Man.
There you
Sound
go.
good?
Yeah,
I kept our list that we were making. I actually kept the list.
Did you? Nice.
Yes, I did. So
well, that's a long list.
We can let Gemma know too.
We had that many ideas?
Oh, we had actually. I have another list with those on it and a couple other ones too.
Man.
So yeah, we had a lot of ideas. So
yeah, we clearly did. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Hello, slow motion. Evening to you.
Slow motion.
It's evening there. But yeah, what I'm going to do is, since we only have 5 at the moment, I'm going to give it is the day after Memorial Day, so everybody's trying to regroup again.
Yep.
From the 4-day weekend. Some people had 4-day weekends.
I wonder how many hangovers we'll have in this chat today.
Probably quite a few. Gemma's not going to be here today. She's taking the day off. I don't know about oracles over the weekend because I do believe she said something about every year they go to a fair. So I don't know if that's Friday night or Saturday night, but I'm sure she'll let us know as time goes on. She did drop that hint Friday. So she said maybe Saturday if they go Friday night, but she wasn't sure. Mm-hmm. So you may not see her at all this week. We'll have to wait and see. But make sure you check out her shorts. She is doing her shorts. So please check them out and leave a comment for her. Give her that view. Her 2 videos yesterday were pretty good. I really enjoyed those videos. Just the listener's encounter and her reading from her books in the second one. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just hang in there, folks. But she needed this time. She had to play catch up. She had the kid for 4 days, last 4 days, so she didn't get nothing done. Bless her heart.
So now you're gonna stare at our ugly mugs all day.
Yes. Well, at least for an hour.
Yeah.
Hey, Smoochie, how you doing?
Slow motion.
What do you say? I sometimes do lists when I'm drunk. Then I wonder what the hell they are about the next day. Yeah, I've done that in my day. But see, I was never a big drinker. I enjoyed the finer things in life, just smoke. But I never was for any of that other stuff. One other thing, but that was my senior year, and I kind of wandered around with the little animals occasionally. But I was making money, so I was able to have fun. Anyway, so that's the scoop. Oh, she's texting me now.
We're in trouble already.
We're in trouble already. Oh no.
Yep.
That's okay. When she yells, it makes her feel good. Let her yell. She needs to. Anyways, so that's the plan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to this, and I'm going to let you kind of go into the South Carolina Lizard Man.
Okay, well, before I get into that, do you want to hear about how the Scape Ore Swamp got its name?
No, go ahead. That's a good way to start.
Okay, so there's 2 different stories. The first story talks about how British soldiers wandered into the swamp, and apparently there was a brothel nearby. And while these British redcoats were busy frolicking with the ladies of the night, they got caught with their pants down, literally. So that's one story, because there was prostitutes in this swamp, so they called it Scape Ore. Add some letters to ore, and you'll know what that means.
Right.
But another story tells of how a promiscuous woman lived in a town nearby, and she was driven out by the women folk. And so she resided in Scape Ore. So it means escape or swamp. So there's a little background to the swamp in which the Lizard Man is said to reside.
Is it her child?
Maybe. I mean, Native Americans did talk about a type of people that were very reptilian-like. They had scaly skin. They were green with big bulbous yellow eyes and tails that were about a foot long. And according to the native tales, these people left when the fish ran out from the rivers. There was no more fish for them to eat. So they moved on. So you do have some historical precedence for the lizard.
Okay. Now that I think I do have that in my notes. Like I said, my son buried everything in the back of the attic. I'm so bummed because I was just sorting it through and I had it kind of lined out in the attic so I can get to stuff. And he cleaned room, and next thing I know, there's like stuff all. It's like,
that's why I like to live alone, because if I lose my stuff, I lose my stuff.
Yeah,
and I lose my stuff a lot. I really do.
This house is roomy, but it doesn't have much space. I mean, the room I'm in, it's like something you'd get in an apartment, you know, little 6x6 almost.
Really? It's like a little shanty, a little shack.
Yeah, in fact, I crack up because this is the room I grew up in, other than a short time that I was upstairs. Nice. You know, we always waited for the other brothers to leave, so we would move up. It was like a way of life, knowing you were growing up when you got to move upstairs because the other guys left. But anyways, I'm good with it. It just take me a day or two to redo everything because I don't have a whole lot of room in my room to put down here. But I'm going to go get some shelves and stack it up that way and get to it.
Right.
Because see, I put a lot of that stuff away when I stopped doing research for these guys on Telegram. Okay, that makes sense. And I mean, I still do it, but it's just little bits now. It's not like I did in the past.
Right. You don't deep dive it. Okay, so one of the main encounters, and this one kind of caught like national attention, was on July 14th, 1988. A young boy, Christopher Davis, was on his way home from work. Okay. And his tire blew out. So he pulled over to the shoulder of the road, which was next to Skateboard Swamp, to change the tire. Just as he's finishing up, he hears some rustling behind him. He hears some weird noises, some hissing and growling. And so he turns around and he sees a pair of red glowing eyes that were about maybe 6 feet off the ground. He stayed long enough to see that the shape looked human in appearance until it stepped a little bit more where he could see it. And he saw what looked like a 6-foot lizard being that had 3 toes. It was like a wet green, like a brownish green color. So this poor kid, he jumped into his car and he's trying to get away. And this lizard man jumps onto the roof of his car and it's trying to get inside. It's clawing at the window and it's trying to break its way in. So this kid is swerving side to side and he pumps on his brakes strong enough where it made the lizard man roll off the car. And he made his getaway from that. The thing left him alone after that. But he reported it to the police, and the police actually took him really serious. They actually came to check out his car and they interrogated the boy. Yeah, they interrogated him. They actually had him draw a picture of what he saw. And the cops believed him. They actually believed him so much that if any other witnesses came in and said, hey, we saw a lizard man, if they drew a picture and it didn't match up to Christopher Davis's picture, they were automatically dismissed as a hoax.
Right. And the funny thing is, well, not the funny thing, but didn't they actually go? Well, first of all, hello, Pixie. Hello, Mike. Mr.
Hey, Pixie.
Didn't they actually go out looking for it at one time?
They did. They did, and they couldn't find anything. They didn't find anything yet. But what happened is they got another report from a family that resided nearby Skateboard Swamp, and they told the police how their car got torn up. The bumper was eaten. Yeah, there was claw marks and there was fur in the bumper. And they did actually look at it and they noticed that it's probably fox fur, but the gashes in there though were so deep that foxes can't do that. Foxes and coyotes can't chew up a metal bumper like that. Okay.
Wasn't they in like threes too? Like there was like 3
and there was balls. Yeah, and there was footprints leading away from the car that were 3-toed footprints. Right. And you got to remember this was 88. So DNA testing, while it was done, it was extremely expensive back in 1988. So they only really reserved that for, murder cases or something along those lines. So they didn't DNA test this.
Right.
But they did believe that, there was a lizard man in there. People were seeing it frequently. People were seeing it run across the road. One guy even claimed to have shot at one and wounded one.
Right.
So there was a lot to the lizard man. There's a lot to it.
Well, it's interesting too, and we need to clarify this. This is not like we're talking about a reptilian, an alien, or anything like this. This is a whole different thing. So, because, excuse me, a lot of people tend to think that this thing was a reptilian, which I don't think it was. I don't think it was. I think this is a whole different thing.
I think so.
I wanted to bring that up because a lot of people want to associate this story with like a reptilian story.
Of course. I mean, that's the popular thing.
And it was pretty obvious. I always tell people it's obvious as it's not, because, the reptilians are intelligent, and all this. This was more of what everybody talks about, the tearing up of the car, the truck, and everything was more primitive.
Yes.
Action, more animalistic than an intelligent creature.
Well, I mean, it shows some kind of marked intelligence. It's not a hyper intelligence. I mean, I'm pretty sure the lizard man escape or swamp isn't traveling in a UFO or teleporting or transporting. Like, it's not hitting its little communicator saying, beam me up, Scotty. So I don't think it's the alien reptilian, but there are some interesting theories behind everything. I mean, I forgot who it was, but somebody presented a theory that dinosaurs somehow evolved to be more humanoid.
I've heard that one.
Yeah, where they remained like, they looked like dinosaurs, or were still kind of like amphibious and reptilian, but they were walking around like human beings with the, the longer arms and the longer legs. So that's one theory. There's another theory that the lizard man is actually just an aggressive Bigfoot that grew green from the mold and the moss in the swamp.
Now that's an interesting theory, but from all descriptions, this looks more reptilian. It looks, we'll talk about Frogman next week, but it's kind of like that same premise. Then, your alien being, as I would say. The thing with this situation is after this encounter, the encounters became far few in between. Now, people still claim to see this thing or things, because there have been other sightings far apart from each other that show, how do I put this? That I had lost my train of thought. That there's a difference in the colorization of this. Like, there's different us. That I believe there was an encounter that somebody said that it looked more of a brown, kind of muddy, scaly, slimy thing, where I've seen encounters like that, kind of like the Frogman. But it, was definitely a lizard of some type. Because I think we should talk about the Manus Man too at one point, because he had been seen in the swamp. But the thing is with this lizard man is, if they're not seeing him, where is he hiding? I believe there's actually an encounter of a lady swimming in a part of the Ohio River. That's not swim. They don't swim in it often. It's like in private property. They section it off, and you go out and fish in the river, but not too many people swim off the coast of the river, in certain areas because of the current and stuff. And she told her child to stay put, and she went out on a tube and was floating around with friends, where she started being pulled under.
Yeah, that's
it felt like a webbed hand that was pulling her
Are you
down.
thinking the Thetis Lake monster? Is that what you're thinking?
Was that a lake? I thought it was on the Ohio
That sounds like
River.
the Thetis Lake monster.
Is it?
No, Thetis Lake. That was the Thetis Lake monster. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I just.
I mean, it's possible that it happened there too. Because like lizard man sightings. I've even gotten a few lizard man sightings here in Arizona. So
really,
I don't know. Could they all be the same thing? I don't think so. I don't think they're all the same thing.
Species like
I'll tell you why too. No, I'll tell you why. I think why they're different. The ones I get from Arizona, it's similar to some of the other ones that people have seen. These ones have like a beak. You remember that old movie Gargoyles? How some of the gargoyles had like a beak instead of a mouth?
Yes.
What people are describing, but when it comes to the lizard man, they're almost describing the lizard from Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, and the lizard from Spider-Man, Lizard Man and Spider-Man, he comes more off as a reptilian, higher intelligent, more superior. So if anything, and especially in, was it the second set of movies where he's in, when he's introduced, he to me in that movie looks like what you would depict as a reptilian.
Yeah. Yep.
To the max. It's like they use that format to make this character. Because if you look in the comic book, he looks more like a lizard.
Yeah.
Right. But in this movie, he does. He looks like a reptilian with a tail.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at Marvel Comics, though, man. I mean, a lot of their characters are actually inspired by mythology. You got Wendigo, you got Sasquatch, you got, let's see, who else do you have? You have the one guy, I forgot what group he's from. He's a bad guy, but the way that they draw him, it's almost like a skinwalker. He's got the deer skull, he's got the Native American clothing.
Oh, I know
you're
talking about, and I can't think of his name either.
Yeah, he's got the markings on his chest.
I'd have to have my son here. He's Marvel, I'm DC.
Right. So it's art imitating life, man. I mean, that's just the way of things,
right.
You know? I mean, anything that we see in real life, you're going to see in the movies at some point in time. It's just inevitable. Right. That's the way that it goes. But with the Lizard Man, though, I mean, I think what people need to realize, too, is with the Lizard Man, territorial and predatorial reptiles are actually very clever, and they're territorial as hell. They are territorial.
Yes, they are. As a reptile guy and an amphibian guy, yes, they are. I mean, I have toads, and there's definitely spots in that tank. I got 3 toads, had 4, but they have sections where, the other one don't go. Yep. So, they are, amphibians and reptilians are very territorial animals.
Yeah. So look at crocodiles and alligators. If you go anywhere near their nest, you're going to know about it. They're going to come at you and chase you away.
Oh, yeah.
Is it possible that this kid, when he pulled off to the side of the road, got too close to a nest of lizard men? It's possible. It's, something that could happen.
That's an interesting concept because, maybe if he wouldn't have stopped, none of that would have happened. Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, slow down and look, but I mean, I believe he got out of the car, didn't he? He did get out of the car, right?
Yeah, he was repairing his tire. Yeah, he was working on his tire. Yep, he was. Right. Just as he was finishing up, he was putting on the final bolts to his tire. Yeah. And that's when he heard the hissing and the growling and the commotion behind him. And, I mean, that's going to be really terrifying to see a 6-foot reptile. Okay. Reptiles are scary anyway. So you see a 6-foot reptile, it's like, whoa, I mean, I would have bolted, man.
Looking at a bearded dragon standing up.
Yeah. No, thank you. No.
So, yeah.
But this thing actually jumped onto the hood of his car. So it was trying to get into this kid. It wanted to get at him. And that's what makes me wonder, was there a nest nearby? Did he maybe run over eggs or something like that? And this thing was like, hey, you killed my kids.
Or maybe even one of them, baby even maybe ran over a child, a young.
Yeah, it's possible.
But what is interesting about this is before his encounter, it was rumored that there was something like that in that area. Yeah. But not very, I mean, Bigfoot and everything else were more discussed than this particular cryptid.
Oh, yeah, dude. Sasquatch by far is far more discussed than the Lizard Man, for sure.
Oh, yeah. So, and I know in that area it was too in South Carolina because I have friends that live there.
That's an interesting thing, though. I mean, as far as Sasquatch reports go, none of them come out of Scape or Swamp. So, okay, so if there is a Lizard Man, is that what's keeping the Bigfoot out of that area? Because the Bigfoot are like, I'm not even messing with this thing?
Because they're scared of it too, because it's that powerful, that strong, that clever. Yeah, I can see that.
Could also boil down to, it's a reptile. Reptiles will eat anything. Okay, they'll eat anything they can get their mouths around, they will eat it. Yeah. And so maybe with the Bigfoot, they learned, don't go there because this big lizard thingy is going to eat us. So.
Yeah, Pixie, you're right. All species will defend their young, and that's to be expected.
Oh, we got a question up there. As far as the Swamp Thing goes, Swamp Thing was actually out before Lizard Man was talked about.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah,
before it was discussed publicly. Before it was discussed, but same thing with Man Thing.
Yep.
Swamp Thing and Man Thing came out before they were even these things were talked about. So yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Actually, it's interesting because Swamp Thing is a product of a man trying to fix the environment.
Yep.
And Man Thing is a product of the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So is the Lizard Man a product of its environment? A lot of illegal dumping has been caught inside those swamps.
Yeah, in the past. It's possible. But I mean, that would take a long time for something to mutate to the point where it's a bipedal 6-foot reptilian. I mean, if you look at like Chernobyl, just now the animals are starting to change. So it took a long time for the
And there's
radiation.
some weird things going on there that people, I mean, Russia has kind of kept it under wraps. I mean, little twinkles come out so often. It's like the fish in that lake. They're now seeing things coming out of that lake that is not cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, scientifically, they did some tests on the animals there, and the animals at Chernobyl are actually evolving faster than animals in the States.
Yes.
So,
well, they still have that elephant put down there too. That's producing a lot of radiation. You know what I'm talking about? The blob.
Yep.
Down in the center there, where everything went down.
Yep.
And they can't go in and get it. They can't.
No.
So you can imagine if it's even seeping into the ground. I mean, you can only contain so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to do. It's really difficult to contain radiation like that.
And then, but I think if you've said, I knew that the natives down in that area have spoke of this, but it's not like the Wendigo or the Skinwalker thing,
right?
It's kept in hush, but it's just not talked about because
well, it's not that it's not talked about. It's not that it isn't talked about. It's just that their descriptions are so vague that nobody can really pinpoint what they mean. But like I was saying, if indigenous people are saying, hey, there was reptile people, you have to look into that because they knew humans from animal. Okay, they're not going to say, oh, there was reptile people and not know what they're talking about. If they say reptile people, then they mean reptile people. There was something that made them look reptilian.
Well, that's like them talking about the ant people.
Yeah, they describe scales. They describe a foot-long tail. They say they have big bulbous yellow eyes. They're very precise. So it's not really a vague depiction. I think to modern people, it's vague, but to them, it wasn't.
It was pretty on the nose, and you got to look at their point of view too.
Mm-hmm.
And people nowadays, they want specifics. They want to know every detail, and you can't always give every detail because when you're in that situation, seeing something like that, your mind is, even the best of the best will have trouble recalling certain important details. It takes time to bring that out. And it's funny, I say that, my interest is, we know it's not just seen in South Carolina swamp.
Right.
Now, like I said, there is a story of a woman tubing. I'm pretty sure it's just like your lake encounter.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I've mixed the two up, but I do know that there is a story along the Ohio River.
There might be
this happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more along the up further from where the bridge was at.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me, I drew a blank. Point Pleasant Bridge.
The bridge.
It's up farther from that. Yeah, that it happened.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, sure, the skateboard swamp lizard man's popular, but that doesn't mean there aren't some other places. Like I said, I've taken reports here in Arizona, so if they're in the desert somewhere, we got sewers. I mean, every city has sewers. Okay. So, like they could, go to the sewers that we have in our cities and live in there. I mean, there's water in there, and who's going to really bother you? Nobody really goes down into the sewer unless you're stupid.
Right. And, it's funny because speaking of the sewers, it's like the tale about alligators living in New York City.
Yeah.
Sewers. That is a tale. There's only been maybe 2 encounters and they weren't very big.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's plausible that an alligator be flushed or something get down in there.
Oh, you never saw the video.
They could survive.
Did you ever see the video on YouTube? There's a video that's on YouTube and Instagram where a guy is living in New York, okay? And he lives in an urban area where it's all these nice townhouses and everything.
Right. Outer New York.
And joking about the alligators in the sewer, saying, oh, you all think it's just a joke. It's just a myth. He walks over to this drain ghost and he puts his camera down there. Sure enough, there's an alligator looking right at him and it's hissing at him. There's an alligator.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that. Do you know how old it is?
It's got to be like 7 or 8 years old now, but it's out there. It's out there.
Well, I
What's
didn't
up,
know about
Paranormal Life?
that. And I usually catch all that stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, MT, how you doing, Paranormal Life? Hope you're having a good
So-
day, and everybody.
Yeah,
we're
I've
trying
actually
to- if you
taken
got
a.
questions or comments, please put them in cap or just let us know so we can see them. Ryan's doing a pretty good job of keeping an eye on chat too. So
Yeah, I've actually taken about 4 reports of lizardman encounters here. You know, so I mean, I don't think they're limited to just one area. I really don't.
Here you go. Did you see this?
Yeah, slow motion. That's exactly it. Exactly. 100%.
Yes.
I mean, it was pretty precise because I said that, you know, these reptilian people, these lizard people, they left because they essentially ate all the fish in the stream, in the lake. And so these lizard people had nothing to eat, so they moved on.
They migrated.
Yeah. Now it's possible though that there were some that were left behind that chose to stay. And because the fish were gone, they had to go after other different forms of food. And maybe somewhere along the way, other human beings became forms of food.
Right. Or deer or smaller animals. Yeah, because
Right.
A lot of people say, oh, reptiles, not all reptiles are carnivore. You know, but most reptiles will eat meat or anything if they have to.
Yep.
Do not let that fool you. Because I know
You got some that are
reptile stuff, like, you know.
You have some that are strictly carnivorous, though. Look at the Komodo dragons. Komodo dragons are.
I had a friend that had a Komodo dragon. I actually had a friend in Athens.
Your friend's crazy. Your friend is crazy. I've seen him eat goats.
He raised it from an egg. He actually brought their egg back from overseas. He was in the military, and he snuck it in and raised it. Yeah, he lived down in Athens, Ohio. Had a huge backyard. He owned some land, but he kept it in a privacy fence.
Okay.
You wore gloves when you were with it.
Of course, yeah.
He never attacked. I mean, it was like a dog. He raised it like a dog.
You know, I'm not really surprised because my friend has an iguana that when he comes home from work, his iguana runs to him like it's a dog. It's the cutest but weirdest thing ever. It is the weirdest thing I have ever seen because this iguana gets happy to see him and actually runs to him like a dog and jumps in his arms. And I'm just like, your iguana is weird, bro.
One of my granddaughters bought a bearded dragon. And it's like her dog. I mean, it is like a dog with her. And he protects her. And if he don't like you, he lets you know. It's wild. So he raised this Komodo dragon pretty much like a pet. But you had to wear gloves because, you know, the saliva is highly toxic. I mean, even if you get it on you, it's not good. Okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of bacteria in there. A lot of bacteria.
No, that's what they do is they bite their prey. And if the prey gets away, it'll die. And they just hunt it down. And they like their prey stinky and nasty.
Yep.
And that's how it keeps that bacteria in their mouth going. Anyways, he would take live chickens and throw them out in the backyard because that was the only way he would eat. Well, what happened was cats started disappearing. Even though he was spread out, you know, like farm cats and stuff, you know, people let their cats out. Where they started disappearing. And I guess this lady down the street, a couple ways, had like a whole bunch of them. And I felt bad for her. But once they crossed that fence,
it's fair game.
It becomes open game because he's an animal.
Yep.
Well, somebody finally reported that there was something going on in his backyard. I mean, nobody ever bothered him. And animal control showed up. Freaked out. They freaked out.
I bet.
This was before they had camcorders and stuff. So, but he calls me and tells me what's going on. I'm like, you have to understand this thing was pretty tame, other than dinner time. And he used it as a guard dog. He would get coyotes that would try to chew holes in the fence because they'd hear the chickens.
Right.
And let's just say they didn't get very far before they looked in that fence and see it standing there looking at them.
But anyways,
they took it and they destroyed it.
Oh.
I'd never seen a guy cry and just be so. I mean, I felt bad for him.
That's a
But he
shame.
knew it was illegal for it to be here in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
it was highly illegal.
Highly illegal. But I mean, he raised that thing, and it was amazing that it got that big before somebody even complained.
Mhm.
And it was funny because nobody knew what he had back there.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you what, this thing showed intelligence that was amazing.
I'm sure.
And
I'm sure it did.
I always told him, if this thing could stand up on 2 legs, this thing would be scarier than a raptor.
Yeah.
So I could see, because evolution does weird things, and things may have evolved from the prehistoric times that we haven't even realized yet. Like we brought up the Ant-Man that the Native Indians talk about. We've talked about other things that, Bigfoot and all this. Could these things just be things that have evolved over time and they're not other, and then they got these people that talk about the Chimera projects, the Sumerians and the Chimeras, and that the government's doing it again. That's what you see supposedly on the island when those things wash up. Because it's happened more than once where these odd creatures show up dead.
Oh, like the Montauk monster?
Yes.
A lot of people ignore that they did do DNA testing on the Montauk monster, though.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it was a type of dog. It was a type of dog that was bloated and all messed up from the water.
A lot of people thought it was like a raccoon.
Yep. Well, what happened is a lot of people watch that movie Watchers, okay? And Watchers really made government gene splicing a very popular thing.
Yes, they did.
There was like 5 or 6 movies of the Watchers, so this whole splicing thing really caught on, and it was during the 80s, okay? That's when the first movie came out, so people started thinking, oh, it's like the movies.
Yeah. And I get that because, when something sits in the water for long periods of time, it bloats, it gets all mutated, it gets all
it gets
nasty.
really
and it looks weird. It's like you got to go and you have to do a DNA test to really know what it is.
Yeah, back in the 80s, though, man, back in 88, DNA
they didn't
testing
have that.
Well, they had it to a degree, but it was really expensive to do. It was super expensive. So
right. Because I know something had washed up and it turned out to be a raccoon.
Yeah,
that had drowned, and it was all just nasty looking. There's a picture of a little boy standing in front of what looks like a shark, but it doesn't look like a shark. But it looked like it had been floating dead in the water for a long period of time, and it looked like the face was starting to get eaten by the life, and it had washed up in this corner of this bay. And dude, it was creepy looking. If I can find the photo or the video, I'll send it to you because I don't want to show you and get copyright.
It's just like the plesiosaur that was pulled up by the Japanese fishermen. Everybody thought it was a dinosaur. It turned out to be the rotting body of a basking shark.
Right. And then that cracked me up because you can almost tell to a point. That's what it was. To a point. So, but it didn't look like a plesiosaur to me. I wanted it to be a plesiosaur because I'm a dinosaur and crypto geek, but I am too.
It wasn't. It was a basking shark, and it happens, and it's always going to happen. So we're going to misidentify stuff all the time.
No, you don't. And I think with Lizard Man, do you think it's something that's evolved over time?
It could be.
It was a government experiment. Is this something from another dimension?
I don't know. I like the dinosaur theory. Okay, I'm the Godzilla geek. I'm the Godzilla geek. So when I hear about upright walking dinosaurs that kind of resemble humans, I'm like, ooh, cool. So I kind of like to believe that theory. I don't know what the probability of that is. It's probably very slim to none. Could it be a life form all its own? Maybe. But here's something really interesting that a lot of people that talk about Lizard Man don't ever talk about this. A new species of dinosaur was discovered only about 20 miles away from Skateboard Swamp. And this dinosaur, right, it was pretty much a bipedal crocodile is what it was. So when they actually drew a picture of what it looked like and they assembled the bones, could this be one of the lizard men? Maybe that's where the lizard man came from. You know, a bipedal crocodile. Think about that. That's horrifying. That's terrifying.
I was imagining in my head.
You know,
I was thinking of a raptor with a long bill.
Yeah. I mean, with a long tail and everything. So could the lizard man be some form of that? You know, I mean, it's possible. It's weird that they found the bones near Scape Ore Swamp. That's too much of a coincidence, is it not?
No, that is pretty wild to think about that. That is kind of like, huh?
That's coincidental. That's really coincidental, and I don't believe in coincidences.
Hey, Shade Viking, welcome.
What's up, Shade Viking?
I think that is interesting, to say the least, because there are dinosaurs that I believe survived this great world event that happened then. You know, the meteor comet hitting the Earth. I think some survived. You know,
there's time slips too.
And you know, people still talk about, you know, the brontosaurus that they see down in Africa.
The Mokele Membe.
Yeah. They still talk about raptors. Have you heard? Now, see, it's been a while, but there was sightings supposedly of raptors in Arizona, New Mexico.
Yeah.
A long time ago. I don't know if they're still seeing them.
No, they are. And the funny thing is, though, is like they call them raptors, but being a dinosaur geek, though, the thing is, velociraptors weren't big, okay? So what you saw in Jurassic Park wasn't accurate. What the correct term would be is Deinonychus, okay? Because Deinonychus were like raptors. They had the big, you know, claws in the middle. They were very fierce. They were pack hunters, but they're not velociraptors. They're part of the velociraptor family. So when people are seeing these dinosaurs and they go, hey, I saw the dinosaur from Jurassic Park. It's a raptor. No, it isn't. It's a Deinonychus. So,
yeah, because they were smaller.
Yeah. They were just like really mean chickens.
Yeah, I was just going to say they had feathers. And I mean, they were evolving too, even at that time.
Everything evolves at some point. I know a lot of religious people are like, no, evolution doesn't exist, but it's there, guys. We see it happen. So,
right.
And yeah, paranormal life. We're going to be talking about the Frogman in Loveland, Ohio next week.
Yes. We've got a whole list. I got some more written down, but right now I've got Lizard Man, which is today, Frogman.
Yep. Next week.
Devil Monkeys.
Woo, Devil Monkeys. Woo, woo.
We're going to talk some more about pale crawlers because we want to get a little bit more into that. Because I'm hearing a lot of stuff about pale crawlers and skinwalkers being confused now. So it probably would be good to kind of give an idea. There is a difference. It's like somebody brought up the rake a while back, and I don't call them rakes anymore.
Right.
But they are different from pale crawlers.
Well, I mean, you know, with pale crawlers, I think we got to stop classifying pale crawlers as always looking the same. You know, because if there's
I agree with that.
If there's any truth to what the indigenous tribes say about them, they're people. They call them the people before the people. So it only fits the logic that they would look different as you and I and the next person, the next person. They're not all going to look identical. You know, I'm sure they're going to have different, you know, noses, different foreheads, different bodies. So, you know, I think people are seeing these pale crawlers, but with the rake, though, people really have to remember that in the creepypasta for the rake, it was very, very precise. There's details that were given that these rake encounters don't have. You know, like they talk about his fingers being super, super long. They talk about him mentally tormenting people, even breaking into people's houses and sitting on their bed watching them sleep. I mean, it's horrifying to think about.
That sounds like a demon, not a pale crawler.
Yeah, so I don't think the rake is a thing. I think, you know, it's just something that the creepypasta really caught on. And people want to see what's in the video games and what they read about on, you know, social media. They want it to be real, like Slender Man or, you know, certain things along those lines, like the SCPs. You know, I had an argument with a guy the other day. He's saying that, you know, SCPs are cryptids. I'm going, no, they're not.
It's just a game. It's a game. It was a game people have been playing for years.
Yeah.
So, it's... I totally agree with you because what I see, I think, is more demonic. That's why I don't call them rake anymore because they're not pale crawlers. These things come off just super evil. There's just something not right about them. Maybe
Right.
they're trying to disguise themselves as pale crawlers.
You know,
I
I got
don't
some
know,
information I can
but I've
send you
seen them a number of
folks.
times. Now, since we've talked, I've gone back and thought about all the other counters,
Hmm.
and I have to agree, probably the majority of those were probably pale crawlers.
Yeah. Well, I got some
They
information
seem
I can
more
send
afraid
you
of
though,
me
man.
than me of them. They didn't, get aggressive or
Right.
they just
Well,
kind of hung out in the background.
there's a Scandinavian entity that I'll send you some information about, but they look a lot like the pale crawlers. They're kind of paralleled with the ghoul, the pale crawlers, and things like that. But these things are supposed to be like really jerks. They're real evil little bastards. So I'll send you some information on those guys. Maybe that's what you're seeing.
It's possible. And now I haven't been out, but it's usually when I've seen them, the weird ones, it's usually around properties with old homes, have bad backstories, in cemeteries.
Yep.
Or on the outer edges of cemeteries. You know what I'm saying? Like if there's a forest.
Similar to a ghoul, then, because ghouls are said to linger in cemeteries.
Why it just seems more demonic or something. Just it doesn't seem like a paracrawler.
Well, ghouls were never thought of as a positive thing. The actual old ghoul mythology, they were evil. They were not pleasant creatures. So if you're seeing them near graveyards, it could be that you're seeing a ghoul-like creature. It's hard to say.
Yeah, that is possible. Now, the pale crawlers that I call pale crawlers are definitely probably pale crawlers. That's like the stuff you see in videos.
Shade Viking, the creatures from the Descent. That is exactly how I picture pale crawlers. 100%.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree.
I don't want to ever see one of those, though, man. Those things scared the crap out of me. That little scream that they do, that high-pitched scream, I was like, oh, no. I wouldn't tolerate that, good sir.
The cave is an interesting one because those were actually humans that were infected by a virus or something.
Did you ever hear the story about the pale crawlers from the Descent, though?
Did they do a background story?
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they didn't put it in the movie, but it was spoke about in a documentary. What they said in the documentary is they based it on the tribal belief that they were the people before the people. And I don't know what you want to call them, the crawlers from the Descent, we'll just call them crawlers. But these particular crawlers, they lost faith in all of humanity. They didn't want to live like humans anymore. So they stopped living above ground and they started living in caves and underground. And that's why their skin turned pale white. That's why their eyes adjusted.
That's adjustment to the environment. Yes.
Yeah.
When you change environments, you will evolve even quicker because your body has has to evolve to that.
Right. So stop and think about this for a minute, though, because they went and they lived in caves and they became savages where they became cannibals. Right. If you look at the pale crawlers from the Descent, what other entity does that look like? That looks like the Wendigo, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Now, actually, that's. I have to watch it. You have to tell me what this. Find it and let me know what this documentary is because I got to see that.
Okay.
Back to the Lizard Man. Do you think this all ties in with everything we're talking about?
I think it could. I think everything is connected in some way.
I always believe everything's connected anyways. I believe everything is connected.
If people don't think it's connected, it's because you're not looking at the proper strings. You got to find that little string that's hanging down, and you got to tug on that string and pull it hard enough so it starts to unravel. And you're going to find out that all these paranormal things, these UFOs, the supernatural stuff, the cryptids, it's connected somehow. There's some way. They're very strange things going on. Yeah, there's a very strange thing going on. It's high strangeness. Everything's connected in some shape, form, or fashion.
Right. And I honestly believe that. I've been able to prove it in the day with some things. I'm not going to say, because I used to say I was a small group of people that believe that the aliens are not what you think they are, that they are fallen angels. There's a whole bunch of, and then I realized there's a whole bunch of us that believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only because of biblical source says that, when they see, I actually think that a lot of stuff that we see today is connected to the Nephilim in one form or another.
Maybe.
But that's my point of view. But I've been really open.
Let me quote Captain Kirk here, though. I mean, with the extraterrestrials, we see them flying UFOs, okay? And if they're fallen, they're going to have a lot of powers. So to quote Captain Kirk, what does God need with a starship? So why would these, super powerful beings need spacecraft? I think that God created a lot of life. Okay.
I think
too.
That God, I totally agree. I think
God felt like, playing around with us. I think he knew that human life was very, monotonous, that we got bored easily, that we were going to be inquisitive. So I think he created other life forms and he placed them in different areas to make us guess, to make us wonder, to make us go seek out answers, because he wants us to learn. He never gave us a checklist of all the life that he's created. It's not his job to do that. He's God. He can know all the stuff he made. It's not up to us to know until we learn it on our own.
And I kind of agree with that. Like I said, I may have certain beliefs to certain things, but I've always kept an open mind because I do believe everything is connected.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to have an open mind to be tugging on certain strings, to go down certain rabbit holes to make an understanding, to make a proper self opinion, because everybody's going to have different opinions, like on the lizard man.
Yeah.
You do hear different opinions. Like I hear a lot that, the lizard man was just really a reptilian. And I'm like, no, that's not what it's described like.
I mean, look at the Bigfoot community, dude. How many different opinions are there on Bigfoot alone? There's probably 1,001 different theories.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
And it's important to look at, when you look at something, you look at the whole picture. And I always try to look at the whole picture. Because sooner or later, it's going to lead you somewhere to form the proper decision.
Absolutely. That's why I tell everybody, dive down those rabbit holes. If it seems like an intriguing rabbit hole, dive down it, man. Tie that rope around your waist and just dive down head first. You'll be surprised what you're going to learn. Exactly. Slow motion. Yes.
Yeah, this too. Wait, slow motion. All of these right here are good. We'll start with slow motion. Yes.
Yep.
He needs permission or have to explain himself.
Yeah. And the Morlocks, you're right, Roger. I mean, all these inspirations in books, they come from somewhere. Okay. Somebody hears about something, or I was actually
going to bring that up from the time machine.
Yeah. I mean, it comes from somewhere. It originates somewhere. Somebody sees something, somebody hears a story, something happens where they go, oh, wow, there's things living in caves. There's monsters in caves.
And that's been, that's why we have the senses we have, or our senses that we don't really develop because we don't need them anymore.
Right. Or the uncanny valley effect. I mean, did you ever notice that people get really freaked out when something looks more human?
Yes.
Okay. So, and there's a reason for that, because obviously back in our day, when we were primitive and we were just, stupid things wandering around, we were preyed upon. There was something that was preying upon us, and our genes, our genetics never forgot that. So when we see things that remind us of these predators, we get that cold chill going up and down our spine. Uncanny valley effect, man. That's why Sam Winston, he always said it. The reason why his monsters look so human in his movies, because those are the most frightening monsters there are.
Right. And same thing like in demonology, why everybody associates children. Because demons use children, or demonic forces use children to lure you in. They'll use dolls like children to lure you in. They'll say that doll, and they'll come out of that doll and say, oh, I'm a child, and I'm just trying to, and it's all the same principle with any entity, anything that you talk about. It seems to be the principal thing is to draw you in.
Yes. Well, it's because with kids, we think they're innocent. We think kids, we think babies, we think they haven't harmed a hair on anybody's head.
Protect them.
Yeah. Yep. That's why, movies like Pet Sematary with Gage, that's why it scared the crap out of people, because you had a 2-year-old adorable little boy that's coming back from the dead killing people. That's why we were so afraid of it, because little kids are supposed to be innocent. And when they're murderous and evil, we go, yo, what the heck's going on here?
Same thing with The Omen. You know how many people kind of freaked out over The Omen? There for a while, political children were kind of like, ooh, is this, you gotta, and it's happening right now with,
hey, Bat Mom.
Hey, Bat Mom. The lady, she is a royal. She disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
She had a baby and she disappeared.
Yeah.
Prince Andrew's wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think. And she disappeared and everybody started freaking out. Well, when she showed off the baby, she was wearing almost an exact replica of the dress that she wore in Rosemary's Baby.
Oof.
Red
That movie
and the
creeped
white.
me out.
No, it was there's somebody that's got the pictures compared to each other,
Mm-hmm.
and it's almost the same dress. It is creepy.
That's creepy, man. Yeah, no. Yeah, Bat Mom. If you still have my phone number, give me a call. If not, I'll have maybe Ghost give it to you.
Okay. Well, or we'll get it to you.
Yeah. But I mean, with
Because I
Lizard
don't
Man,
have
though,
her number either.
I don't know that Lizard Man is something that I would consider evil. You know, I mean, when you go into an animal's territory, you're probably going to get into some kind of trouble. So there's going to be people that say, oh, it attacked a kid, therefore it's evil. Not really, because we don't know what provoked that attack. You know, some animals are attracted to electromagnetism, you know, like sharks.
Right.
Sharks are very attracted to electromagnetism. If you have something metal in the water, they're going to bite it. That's what sharks, they'll bite the engines, they'll bite the motors, they'll bite the railings on a boat because of electromagnetism. Maybe the Lizard Man is the same way, where it was the electromagnetism and the heat from the car. You know, maybe it was like, oh, hey, this isn't good, I'm going to go after this. Who knows?
Right. That's the thing. Oh, by the way, Slow Motion, I think so. I get a lot of these royals messed up, but yeah, she had the baby, she wore this dress, and then she disappeared. Now they say she's got cancer or something. It's really weird how things went down.
Weird.
I don't follow the royals a whole lot, but this caught my attention, being the biblical kind of guy I am. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but the royals are a royal pain. So
yeah. But with what you were saying about the Lizard Man, yeah, I'm trying to keep the subject on that.
It's a fascinating topic. It really is. I mean, because, you know, the kid, everybody believed him because he was a really well-behaved kid. He hadn't caused trouble, so there was really no reason for him to create this elaborate hoax. You know, it's not like he was in trouble for coming home late. It's not like he had to create a story to get his parents.
Oh yeah, he was well liked and you know, hardworking kid.
Yeah,
you know, and he was black, and you know, at that time, even in the 80s, there was still kind of some racial things.
Oh, especially in the Carolinas, there was definitely
South Carolina area. But he was well respected. Everybody liked this kid, so there was really no reason for this kid to get like a negative reaction. Everybody was like, okay, this guy really, and he had proof to a degree.
Yeah, well, the sheriff, I mean, the sheriff believed him so much that, you know, if anybody came in and said, hey, you know, we saw the Lizard Man too, he would ask them, okay, what does it look like? Can you draw me a picture? And if they drew that picture and it didn't match what Christopher Davis had seen, the sheriff would tell him, you're making it up. That's how much he believed this kid. That's how much faith he had in this kid's story.
Like I said, I believe right after he talked, the kid came in, made his count. They did all their inquisitive things that they did go look for this thing for a very short period of time. They scanned the Stromps, and I think at one point they even tried to dredge it, didn't they?
It's very hard to find anything in the swamp. I mean, even known creatures can hide so well in a swamp.
Oh yeah, you want to hide?
You know, I mean, it's kind of cool that I had a Cajun family. You know, so my uncle, he actually lived in Louisiana. You know, and he used to tell me all the time, you have to respect the swamp because the swamp don't respect you. You know, and he used to tell me that there's things that happen in the swamp that people go in there and you never see them again.
Yeah, and that still goes on to today.
Yeah, going into any swamp in the bayou or anywhere, man. If you don't know what you're doing, one misstep and bye birdie.
Well, and even down in the Everglades.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Indians have talked about people going in and never coming back out.
Yep.
So, you know, those areas I think are rich of energy. There's such a diverse life in those areas, a very interesting, diverse life at that.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're still discovering species in swamps like they are in Madagascar and some of these other rural places. Even in Africa, they're still discovering new species, not much alone in the sea.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I could
Yeah.
actually. There's still things that we do not know. Everybody talks about, oh, we know everything is about space, but it's not only the sea that we don't know about. It's they don't want to know, because what would you do if you found out certain things were living at the bottom of the ocean? What would you do if you found out certain things were living in the swamps with you?
Right. Right. Yeah. It's
And
almost like you get to quote Tommy Lee Jones from Men in Black. A person is smart. People are stupid. They're a panicky lot. So if there's something new introduced to society that was only relegated to myth or folklore, there might be that really nasty uprising of, oh my God, monsters are real. And there's always going to be those people that, their first instinct is to be, let's go kill it. They're going to head out to the swamp or head out to the woods and want to get a trophy. People are going to get hurt in the process.
The movie trope of let's go get it.
Yep. And people are going to get hurt in the process. It happens in every single movie. They haven't learned yet that, when there's a monster in a small town, don't be with those hunters that go out trying to kill it, because those hunters never come back. Silver Bullet was a perfect example.
Yes. It's a very good, and that's one of my favorite movies too.
Mm-hmm.
That and Night Flyer, which they don't show too much anymore. I finally found it. I think you found me a copy of it. I
did.
too.
Yeah. Yep.
You know why? Do you know why that movie's hard to find?
No.
The guy that plays the main character,
mm-hmm.
The end of that movie is pretty rough. It's kind of like The Mist. It ends in a bad note.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most of Stephen King's stuff really does. Like Pet Sematary ends really badly. And he doesn't like happy endings too much.
No. But it really affected this guy.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he won't, and from what I understood, until the day he passed, because he's passed now. He passed on.
Yep.
That was one movie he did not like.
Wow.
He said that doing that whole last bit scene messed with him.
I'm not surprised. I am not surprised at all.
That he just would not acknowledge it anymore. I mean, he said he had nightmares.
Oh, I can see why. I can definitely see why.
So yeah, that's why you don't see that movie anymore, like you used to.
Interesting.
They released all these King movies, but that's the one movie.
Yeah,
you never see in those sets.
That's a valid point. Yeah. Wow. Huh. I learned something new today. That's cool.
Yeah. But that's the way I look at Lizard Man. These people that see this thing, I mean, you got to be traumatized.
Sure. I mean, if Bigfoot can traumatize you
like that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one of the popular ones. It's not like Dogman. It's not like Bigfoot. But
and that's because it's not seen like.
Right. Well, I gotta wonder. I gotta wonder if Dogman is really seen as much as people claim. I mean, we have thousands of encounters every day, and yet still no evidence of Dogman. I'm starting to kind of go, the hell's going on with this Dogman thing? I'm starting to think it's a little made up to an extent, because nothing yet. But
here's the thing with Dogman and me. I'm not sure about Dogman, but at the same point, I kind of accept it, because if you can accept Goat Man, Pig Man, Lizard Man, Frog Man, you kind of have to accept maybe somewhere along the line somebody saw a canine.
Oh, I definitely do, because I mean, I had my own encounter.
Yeah.
What my problem is, though, is people say that we have thousands of encounters per day, that they're living on people's property, that there's this, there's that, but there's no solid evidence for it. And I think like like the Rake. I hate talking about the Rake, but I think like the Rake,
that's all right.
Dogman kind of took on a life all of its own, where it became a horror story. Where people are seeing these things everywhere, but they're not really seeing them. They're seeing shadows or something else.
Hey, War Criminal.
War Criminal.
See, that's like my own experience. But see, I knew what I saw wasn't a Dogman. I knew this was a lichen.
Right.
I knew what it was just because the way I empathized with it, because it was sad. You could tell that this was a human trapped. I mean, you could feel her trappedness. You could feel her sorrow, but you could also feel her rage.
Interesting.
And I'll never forget that. But the problem is, we had proof, but the guy freaked out. The only guy that got him freaked out. And
I don't blame him.
And it still affects him. I mean, it affected him to a point that he drank so much that he almost lost everything.
Wow.
But he stopped drinking. I mean, he has a good job and everything, but it was pretty bad from what I understood. Because we stopped talking. That incident led to a bunch of other things. So I know and this was a guy who was a wrestler in his day. He's a manly man kind of dude. To watch him that night go from that night on kind of freaked me out because he freaked. I mean, this dude freaked. And I didn't expect that from him, of all people.
That's the normal reaction.
I knew he was afraid of heights, but this was like a whole new level.
I think it's fair to expect that he freaked out, though. I mean, we're raised to believe that werewolves are just movie monsters, you know. So when we encounter something like a dogman or even Bigfoot, we're always taught that they're movie monsters. They're something you read about in books and see in movies. So when we see these things, we're kind of like, they're real after all. Our parents lied to us.
Hey, John P., how you doing, Bo?
Yeah, slow-mo. It's a lot like that. The whole mangy coyote as a chupacabra has really just taken off.
Yes, it has. Actually, after seeing some of these, I want to call them dogs, these critters, whatever you want to call them. Actually, I think they're a breed. Actually, I think they may actually be a new breed. Mange has done something and caused kind of a mutation over time with mange-ridden animals mating with other mange. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of developed. That's kind of like evolution in a way.
Yeah.
But that's what I see because you see more than one.
And, I mean, it's evolution in adaptation.
Yeah. And at one point, they look like dog or a coyote or even a wolf that's got mange. But if you really look at them, there is something very distinctively different about their
but
their
those
shape,
should have their own
their attitude.
They should be called something. They should have their own species name because the chupacabra was never described as a canine like creature ever.
No, it's more like a lizard actually, or like
it's more like a lizard man, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you see the pictures, it's got spikes.
Yeah,
it's all curled up. It's got like webbed hands. So it's not that to me is not a. I always laugh every time I see those videos. That's like that lady that killed one and kept it in the freezer and then had a DNA test and it was all kind of. They really don't give you the whole DNA test.
Of course,
I actually do think it's a new species, a different.
It could be. Well, I mean, that would actually fall into cryptid. I mean, because it was an unknown animal, so that is actually more of a cryptid than chupacabra itself. Really,
right. Because chupacabra is more of a legend. But then again, I've seen some video of these goat farmers down, I believe, in South America and in Mexico, where they're it's somewhere in there where they're fighting this like shadow-looking thing hanging on a goat. Have you seen that video?
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
That would be like, okay, maybe that's a real version of a chupacabra.
It could be.
Because it was literally hanging around the goat's throat.
Right. Well, something to consider, too, is the woman in the original report for the chupacabra, right? What people don't look into is she had just got done watching that movie Species, okay?
Yes.
Look at how the girl in Species, the girl creature looked, and then look at how she drew the chupacabra. Spikes on the back. Eve had the spikes on her back.
Yes,
Eve looked very reptilian. Eve had the long tongue and everything like that.
Actually, another Eiger creation.
Geiger. Yep. That was a weird man. Geiger is a very strange dude.
He was heavily into the occult.
Yes, he was. Yes,
he was also a follower of oh my gosh, I drew a blank again. I hate that when I'm on stream.
Brain fart. Brain fart.
Cthulhu and all that.
Lovecraft.
But yeah, he was a Lovecraftian.
Yeah. Yes, he was.
He was very into the occult. He experimented with some things. So he was in a conversation I saw with him. Now, this man had some interesting views.
He's a weird guy.
And looked at things very interesting.
Yeah, he had a very sexual and erotic view on all things.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And he outright stated, I'm heavily into the cult. You know, I'm.
Oh yeah, you could tell. You could tell just by the way
he called himself Lovecraftian. So
yeah.
But you know, and can you imagine him making a lizard man?
Oh man, it would look intense. That'd look crazy, but
be creepy as crap.
It would. I love to see it.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like looking at some of his alien stuff that he did for Alien and for subspecies. Some of that is reptilian looking.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
With a touch of techo in it.
Yep. He likes techno-organic stuff. He's a big fan of techno-organic.
Yes, he does. I mean, Scientology, that's a whole different ballgame, dude.
Oh, yeah.
They believe in some weird stuff. You know, we're we're actually aliens living in, our souls are actually alien souls and all that stuff. You really got to dig in it. I mean, South Park probably is the best way to look at it because they describe it exactly what they, believe. Yeah. It's funny how they do it, but
it's accurate. Tell the
story of it, yeah. But so is Lizard Man part of Scientology?
He might be. You never know.
You know, somebody brought up
maybe he avoids us because he doesn't want to get involved in all our politicking and arguments. He's like, humans suck. I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. That's true though, but it's highly possible. I mean, you would think any cryptid would know what's going on in this world. They have to feel it.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to feel it and see it. You know, just because they live out in the middle of nowhere doesn't mean that they can't. We're all connected. This is what I really mean. We're all connected. I mean, you can stand by anybody and pick up whether they're good or bad. I mean, good mood or bad mood. And you can walk away in a bad mood because somebody's in such a bad mood.
Yeah.
You literally
you absorb their energy.
You don't even know that person or haven't even spoke to that person.
I mean, like,
so imagine us going into the woods and then picking up on us and our confusion. And
right. But look at things like, Bigfoot. Every tribe has a tale of them, right? So that means they've coexisted along every tribe in the States. That means they've also seen what the settlers did when they came into the Americas. They saw the violence. They saw, people being shaken down and forced from their lands.
And the disease that came with it. And the disease that came with it.
Of course, they're going to be like, I'm out of here. These humans aren't any good. I mean, I lived with some good humans for a while, but these new people showed up and they're jerks. I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. And and that's another thing when you talk about that. People think, aliens are going to come and be like all peaceful and stuff. Dude,
not necessarily.
Look at what we did to America. Look at not just us, but any country that invaded another country or went to another country. Look what they do.
Yep.
It's hardly ever good.
That's true.
So are you thinking that they're going to come in here, maybe play nice for a while, but everything has an agenda? I hate to say that, but nowadays everything's got an agenda.
Hopefully they show up and want to be nice. Hopefully they don't show up looking like the Predator because we'll be in a lot of trouble.
I just watched that last night. I watched 2 last night.
Nice. Imagine if all the Predators show up. We're screwed. It's gonna be like, man, look how tall these guys are. We're in so much trouble, dude.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny too, because back to the Lizard Man, I had heard a tale. I think it was from somebody in a diner where this thing was like a chameleon, and he didn't see it until it stepped out of a tree. But he said it blended so well into the bush.
That's
like
possible.
A chameleon, and he said it was lizard-like. I think it was a diner down south in Portsmouth somewhere.
Yeah, one of the stories I got here in Arizona, they said that it was multicolored, that it had like different patches of bright colors near its neck and on its shoulders. And then as it went down near the buttock region and the back of the legs, it was like bright pink and everything. It's kind of like what the chameleon has because it has all these different hues because that's the cells that change colors.
Yeah, it
You
helps
know,
them
so
to.
if it's anything that's some kind of reptile or amphibian, maybe it does have color changing abilities.
Chameleon-like abilities. Yeah, because
It
I've had
changes color like the chameleon.
the chameleon, and they're cool. They're cool creatures, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And
They
and
are.
look at squids do it too.
Yeah.
And
Octopus.
yeah, and
Mhm.
they can all change color and blend into anything, pretty
Yep.
much.
Oh yeah.
So
And
we know that the
reptiles are
animal
quick.
world, yeah, and the animal
Reptiles are
world's
super
good at
fast.
that. Yes. Oh, they can do it really fast. Um, I have a guy that runs I deal with to get my toads and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He has a couple octopuses. And those things
Wow.
are amazing. They're so smart.
Yes.
They are just incredible. But you look at him and go, man, this is not of this earth. It is just
Mm-hmm.
too smart. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And open
It is
jars. They know how to
amazing.
open jars.
Oh, yeah. He would put fish in jars and put it in. He goes, I do it because it keeps them active. It keeps them thinking. And that thing
Right.
opens it up like it's nothing.
Yeah.
I've actually seen him pull corks out.
Yeah, they're smart as can be. They really are. You okay?
Oh, yeah. Just talking too much.
Okay.
But why couldn't Lizardman be like that? Maybe that's why we don't see him. Like they do say about Bigfoot, how he can blend in,
Mm-hmm.
and now all of a sudden he's gone.
Yep.
Why
yeah,
not?
I mean, active camouflage. It's possible.
Yeah.
Bear's gonna have a thing of, active camouflage. Yeah, that's me. MT.
Yes,
The Wendigo guy on YouTube. Yep.
Yep, that's him. That's Ryan. There he is. Windy Walker.
Yep, the Wendigo guy.
There's a movie for you. Predator hunting down Wendigo and Skinwalkers.
Oh man, that'd be a Sophie's choice for me. I'd be like, go Predator. Nah, don't kill it. No, don't kill the Predator. No, don't kill the Wendigo. What are y'all doing? Get along. Behave.
That's funny. That would
I'd be upset. I would actually be sad if any one of those three died, dude. I'd be like, oh, I didn't want it to die. Which one? Any of them.
They had my Cheetos.
Yep. Stole my Cheetos. Damn it.
They guarded my Cheetos. Why'd you do that, Predator? Have you seen the stuff they're getting ready to do for the new Predator movies? The Prey and
the
other one?
Wastelands or Badlands? Yeah.
Badlands looks really good.
Yes. I'm looking forward to Prey too. I know a lot of people didn't like Prey because it's a little girl that beat the Predator. But I like the whole Native American take on the Predator, dude. That was like, yes, we need to see that.
Me, I like that. I enjoyed that. Yep. At the end of 2, he gives him the pistol from 1717.
Yep, 1715. Yep.
I would like to see them take that and go back to that.
Well, they covered it in a comic book, though. They talked about it.
I know they covered a lot of that in comic books.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't read comic books.
True.
Like they used to. So
with Predator fans, though, Predator fans are kind of fink, though. If they were to make a movie of that, there'd be fans that were mad, like, yeah, they'd be like, oh, we already knew about this. Why'd they make a movie? So they got to be really careful.
Yeah, that's true, too. But I would still like to have seen them, show up on a pirate ship or.
You know what they got to make a movie of for Predator is the comic book Bad Blood, where it was a good Predator versus a bad Predator that crash landed in a small town. That was a good story.
Well, that's kind of like the last Predator movie where they had the big Predator hunting down the little Predator because he was coming to help us.
It's similar, but like what I mean is like there needs to be like that psychopathic Predator that shows up in the Jersey town like he did in the comic books where he's just killing everybody. He didn't care if you were human. He's like, oh, give me your head. Ripped it off. And then you had the enforcer, the cop Predator.
Do you have your channel, Ryan?
Let the Monsters In is my channel. So, but what you could do though is just sub here. I mean, stay here because I'll be here every Tuesday. Yeah. I don't know when my channel's gonna be up and running. I'm trying to find a perfect co-host for it, and no one yet. So
don't look at me. I got one already. Well, I'm already
No, I'm very picky on the co-host because I want to do a cryptid and horror movie kind of channel where we discuss horror movies and stuff like that. And plus, my schedule's got to lighten up. I'm writing my book. I'm writing that Wendigo book. I got a Skinwalker book to do, and then I got other books to follow. I got art projects to work on. So just follow me here.
Yes, and actually that's a good note to leave on since we're gone over.
Oh, we did. Whoops, my bad.
Hey,
my
no
bad.
big deal. We were having a good conversation. That's what it's about.
Yes, we
I'm
were.
really not in that big a rush. But it is the afternoon.
Right.
And I'm sure he's out there getting antsy. Let's do something. Let's do something. Man, it's actually nice here.
Yeah, my
So,
dog's sitting here going, we going outside anytime soon, Daddy?
Yeah. Pop. Let's go do something. I know he needs to get parts for a lawnmower. So
Okay. All right.
We'll probably do that tomorrow. But anyways, listen on that note.
Okay.
Now, like I said, until Gemma gets a hold of me or tells everybody what she's doing for oracles, I really don't know if oracles is going to happen Friday or if it'll happen Saturday, but she'll let us know because I know she brought it up Friday. I should be here tomorrow night at midnight. We'll see. As far as I know, I'm planning on being here. I kind of call my streams at the last minute because things and me, but I'm always pretty good about having it because it does help me too. So let's go from there. Next Tuesday, we'll talk Frogman.
Sounds good to me.
And I'll let Gemma know if she's not watching. And we'll go from there. Everybody have a wonderful rest of the day.
Have a terrific day, everybody.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you like to end on anything?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Well, folks, have a wonderful day. And I'll see some of you tomorrow night, probably. And also, I guess, like I always say, I'll see you on the flip sides. Take care. What a great conversation. Once again, we still get all into everything, don't we?
See ya.
So, we'll go from there.
Yep, we do.
My mind in right now. Much love to you guys.
See ya.
And we'll see you soon. Have a good one, folks.